what is good? Thank you so much for once again stopping back by. I really do hope that you're gonna enjoy today's video so that you can keep coming back for more. As you can already tell by the title, today we are doing a Q&A, and it's my very first Q&A for the year. Super excited. So I went on Instagram and I asked you guys a couple of questions, and you guys definitely pulled through and did the things. So I'm only gonna answer the first 20 questions, and then the remainder of the questions I will do it some other time, ne? Because if I had to do all of them, then this video would not end and it would be too long. If you're interested in watching that, do keep watching this video till the end. Don't forget to like, to comment, and to subscribe. Let's get into the video. Okay, so I've written everything on my little diary because I'm using my phone to film. And the first one is nothing to say. I love you. You inspire me so much, mama. Love you loads, Gesana. Love you too. Thank you so much for that. The second one is, how did you know he's the one? I answered this in my BB talk. I think under the 180, how did I meet my husband? No, like somebody specifically asked me, how did I know he's the one? And that's one of the topics that I covered. But just to briefly answer the question, I prayed about it, I fasted about it. I also had a list that I made years ago, like when I say years ago, I mean 5 years ago, of what I wanted in a husband, like the qualities that I wanted in a man, and I jotted them down. Mind you, at this time I had no pressure. I wasn't dating my husband. I had never even met my husband before. I wasn't thinking about marriage, but I knew I'm gonna get married one day. I want to get married one day. So I just put it out to the universe that God, I want him to be this, and then years later, fast forward, when now I've met my husband and he's proposed marriage, I then went back to my list and said, Nangambela Buti had most of the requirements, not all, but most. You'll never find somebody that has it all. You are lucky. It's like one in, I hardly know anyone who has it all. That's the next question is, how are you and Oluwethu Ndlanya related? Our mothers are sisters. That's how we related. Very close sisters. So we've also just been like extremely close all our lives, and yeah, that's how we related. Excuse the nails in the sun that they are coming out, but salty. The next question is, hey Asipe, how can I get into radio? Babe, you need to start at, I almost said commercial radio. You need to start at community radio. So community radio is like your local radio station. So it's your Inanda FM, it's your Vibe FM, it's your campus radio stations, it's your like small radio stations, ne? There's so many other that I don't want to say by name because I'm not sure because I'm not sure of the names, but my meaning almost every 1 in 3 communities, they have radio stations, even in townships. So like Inanda FM and Vibe FM is in the township. I know Mlazi also has a radio station. There's campus radio. That's where you start. You know, the DYR is a community radio station, Durban Youth Radio. It's in Florida, it's on Florida Road. Basically that's where radio careers are launched. That's where you start, that's where you learn and get the experience, and then, you know, when the time is right, God makes it happen and they handpick you, and you know, you work for commercial radio, Ukozi, Gagasi, East Coast Metro, and so forth and so forth and so forth. But honestly, that's how you get in. There's hardly anyone, there's like very few people that you find in big radio stations that have never done community radio stations. Most of the time, community radio stations, you won't get paid. So it's really not for the money. It's really not about the money. It's about you learning how to do radio. You know, it's about you acquiring the skills. And then by the time you get to commercial radio, you obviously are flying. You know, commercial radio, they don't really teach you how to do a link, how to do radio, how to produce. Those are the things ofika usuzaz, unless you're one of those like very fortunate people that's whole connection gebangeni. But for the most of us, that's how it started. This is anything radio. So this is radio presenting, news reading, sports reading, radio presenting, radio producing. You gotta start at local community radio stations. The next one is, do you care about interior? If so, what style are we ever gonna get that content? So when you say interior, I assume you mean like interior design and theme, right? Do I care about it? I definitely care about it, girl. Definitely care about it. However, I am also discovering my style. You know, I realized Uti from transitioning to, living with my mom, and then I lived alone in my 1 bedroom apartment, and then to my marital home, my marital house. My marital house is largely influenced by my home. So the style in here is largely influenced by my home. And it just be like that. It just, how you grew up is how you will be influenced. It's what you saw growing up and how you grew up has a lot of influence to you when you grow up. But I'm also discovering my own style. So from the time I moved to my marital home to now, there are things that I'm stripping away that I know from my original home with my mom. I won't count when I lived in my 1 bedroom apartment because it was very small. I didn't have room to do much. It was very small, so I didn't really explore my style. So I'm early exploring my style now. And I realized with slowly but surely, my home is moving away from home. It's moving away from what my mom does and what I saw at home. And it's really starting to take form and shape of my style. I'm really starting to, also learn about myself, learn about my style through my home, through the things I like, through the fragrances that I like. My mom was here not so long ago, and there's a couple of things that she was asking me, oh, this is nice, where did you get it? This smells nice, where did you get it? So that's when I knew I'm finding my own voice, my own style in terms of interior, in terms of set, in terms of what my home looks like. But I'm still in the process. I haven't really figured out what it's like exactly. I know I love aesthetics. I know I love minimal style. Like I like warm colors, your nudes, your browns, your whites, your blacks. I don't really like noisy colors. So yeah, I'm really just getting to learn that part. Will you ever get content like that? Definitely in due time. As I told you guys, I'm still crafting my style. So when I feel like I'm at a place where my home is exactly how I want it to look, I'll definitely be filming. Not everything, but parts that I want to film for. But thank you for asking this question. It's quite an interesting one. The next one is, if you had to speak to your past self, what would you say? Whew, I would tell her that, girl, you are in for a roller coaster. I'd tell her that life is so exciting. I would tell her that take it as it comes. I would tell her, don't be so hard on yourself. I would tell her, God's timing is greater than yours, because your timing will not always happen at your timing. I would prepare her for what my life has turned out to be, because my life is completely not what I thought it would be. My life is completely not where I thought it would be. Like, I sit down and I'm like, what in my life is going exactly how I had planned it to go? But at the same time, it's I'm gonna sound a bit contrasting myself in this conversation, because my life turned out exactly how I wanted it to turn out, just not in the sequence that I thought it would turn out. I definitely thought I was going to be married by 25. God did exactly that. It happened, ne? I thought I would have my first kid at like 28, 27, and I still can do that if I wanted to. So that's not completely out of the question. But I also thought I would be in one of the biggest soapies. I go on about my career almost in every conversation. I'm sure you guys are tired. I thought I would be in one of the biggest soapies. I thought I would be presenting. I just thought I'd be in the mainstream of my career, you know, the mainstream of my work. Like I thought I'd be on national television. I'm still doing the work that I want to do, but I'm more on the subtle side. I'm more behind the scenes. It's not exactly what I thought it would be. So I don't know if it makes sense if I say my life turned out exactly how I wanted it to turn out. It's just not in the sequence because it's not a thing of God said you will never be presenting on TV. You will never be on the main soapy. No, I'm not saying I will never. I still have, like a lot of hope. God is gonna do it. Like one thing for sure, He's gonna do it. It's just that He did everything else before that. If you get what I mean. So that's what I would prepare her for, that because I had a hard time accepting that. I had a hard time accepting that post graduation I was a top student in my varsity. I was good. I studied at KCAP first, and I had best actress. I studied at DET. Final year I was best actress. Like I had an amazing varsity life. My dreams were fueled in varsity. But sweetie, and then you graduate and then you realize that superstar in your own varsity. The outside world, there's many other ways that require you to be a superstar. Whereas at varsity, I just had to be committed and good at what I do to be a superstar. Not that everybody else was not a superstar, but this is my story. And then coming out of university, babes, your talent is not the only thing that makes you a superstar. Very few people become a superstar because of their talent. There's people want you to open your legs. But yeah, I would prepare her for all of that. What does being content mean to you? Oh, being content means being at peace. Being at peace means accepting the things that I cannot change. This is obviously easier said than done, because knowing that I can't change a situation does not mean it does not hurt me. Knowing that I have no powers to change the situation and it's God's will, and it is not my fault that things turned out the way they did, does not mean that akukho buhlungu. Does not mean that I'm not triggered. It does not mean that I wish things turned out differently. But being content is understanding that even though I feel this way, and it's not wrong that I feel this way, but I'm okay. I'm at a place where I'm okay, and I've accepted that this is my reality. Things have turned out like this, and I can't not be happy. My life can't not go on gazing into that I have no control over. But I need to find a way to live with the things that I can't control. So for me, being content is accepting exactly that and acknowledging the pain and the triggers that I will sometimes have due to the reason of into that I cannot change, So for me, being content is that. Being content is being okay with getting it or not getting it. Being content is knowing what really matters in life and who really matters. And I always say, yes, there's no one in Bilwene that has your back more than you. And I always say, the one thing that I can lose it all, I can lose it all, but I can't lose me, because I'm the one person that will always be here for myself. That's why it is so important to create healthy spaces within yourself, create a healthy place in your brain, because that's where you live the most. A healthy heart, because you can't run away from your heart. You can't run away from the things you think. So it is so important to be fueled up with positivity, to be fueled up with good energy, with good vibes, because you can't get away from yourself. You can get away from everything else. You can't get away from yourself. So there's nothing I preserve more than my peace and myself and just me. So for me, that's what being content is. It's making sure that this girl is good, regardless of what's happening, who's doing what, who said what. This girl needs to always be good. And then the next one is how's your relationship with God? Oh, my relationship with God is amazing. It is so dependent. I am so dependent on God. I don't know, excuse me, what else I would do, where else I would go, who else I would talk to besides God. So I am so dependent on God. However, my relationship with Him is one that is growing. I do feel like one thing that I don't like that is happening is the more I'm growing, obviously the more challenges will come within Impilo, right? The more change is happening, the more uncomfortable I'm gonna get, the more realizations I get to make. What that has done is that it has stripped away my ability to be completely vulnerable with God. I know that's exactly what God needs. I know that the only way for God to hear me, even though He sees my heart, but the only way for at least me now to feel relieved and bold is by talking to God and telling Him exactly how I feel and being honest about how I feel. I know that's all God requires of me. He just requires me to come forth to Him and be honest to Him, and then He takes care of the rest. But with everything that has been going on, it has become harder to be vulnerable, and it's become harder to pray. It's become harder to make time for God, and when I force myself to pray, because I know it's the devil attacking me, because I want to, and I know that I should, but I get distracted, and I don't have it all figured out. I really don't have it all figured out. And one thing that I've been saying this year is I need to get back to a place of vulnerability with God. Guys, I know I've been in a place where I felt so connected to God. Any hour of the day, any time of the day, when I need God, I just call God, and I am emotionally there. And it's something that I've been struggling to do, and I've been praying against it, obviously, saying that God, please, I need to experience being close to you again. As much as I still go to church, I still listen to worship, I still pray, but the connection to God is what I need restored. So my relationship with God has been better in that sense, but I do also think I'm also growing. With growth, growth happens even within Christianity, even within God. I'm getting to know God in a different light. I'm getting to see God differently in my life. So I'm also trying not to be too harsh to myself, and I'm like, God, you understand exactly what I'm going through. You ordained that this time in my life I'd be going through these trials and tribulations inside me, challenging my Christianity, challenging my daughter and father relationship with you, and you will get me out, because one thing about me, I know that you are still God. I know I can't do this life thing without you. So that's what my relationship with God is currently looking at. Okay, the next one is, do you think the way your parents raised you, you will raise your children that way? Absolutely. If there's one thing my parents, I'll say my mom. If there's one thing my mom got absolutely right, it was parenting. I applaud that woman. In fact, both of them. I don't know why I'm separating my dad, because in a household, I do think that by nature, the mother does most of the nurturing and the parenting. In my household, my dad was very, very strict. Both my parents were very, very strict. But my dad would also have a very soft side that my mom did not have. I could have been able to convince my dad. There's a lot that I could have gotten away with my dad. It's just that when Masakang Bamba, I know that there's going to be hell to pay, right? So my dad also had a very soft side that I knew would see. My dad has a soft spot for me. He's going to say yes. My mom didn't have that. So I'm not saying I don't want to be soft towards my kids. I definitely want to be softer towards my kids, because I'm only appreciating the hardcoreness now. way back when I was growing up, I was just like, my mom is so unnecessarily, she shouts for everything. My dad almost can't overpower my mom when it comes to me, when it comes to us as the kids, and he used to irritate me so much. Now that I'm older, I don't think it's overpowering. I just thought my dad trusted my mom so much, and he also knew that what's best for us, for me, was what my mom was saying. It's just that he doesn't have the power to say no to me because of the soft spots, and he would just make Uma say all the no's. And it wasn't really a power thing. It wasn't really a thing of, oh, my dad, but I'm Sula, you know. It's just that he preferred to shift that towards my mom. So my mom was always the bad guy in most cases. But in all of that, that is just them being strict. Within that, there was love. Within that, there was patience. Within that, there was being put first. I grew up in a household where I knew I come first in my parents' lives. I knew that there is nothing my dad wouldn't have done for me. There is nothing my dad wouldn't have showed up to for me, but with my mom as well. So I think, and mind you, marriage is not perfect. My parents are married. Their marriage was not perfect, but I never saw that growing up. I obviously know it now because obviously my mom and I have grown closer. You know, I know the things, I know the messed up things that happen or happened in their marriage, as you know, that I've witnessed. But growing up, it didn't matter what they fought about. It didn't matter who did what, who said what to who. When they come forth to us, to me, as parents, it was just always this Tombe sword, you know? So I've definitely learned a lot from my parents that I will transfer to my kids. In terms of the strictness, I'm definitely a strict person by nature. My husband always says, hey, don't die. My husband is older than me, so this comes from, he's almost a decade older than me, but he's not, we're just 8 years apart. But my husband is really older than me, you know, and he says things like, bro, you got some die. So I'm definitely by nature am a strict person. Guys, I'm just built a certain way, and you know, if you know me, you just know I'm not your typical 25-year-old. The things that excite my 25-year-old fellas doesn't necessarily excite me, and it's okay. I'm not judging them. I'm not saying what wrong or excited. I'm just different, and it's just who I am. So, there's probably like 89% of things that I will adapt from my parents to my own kids. The other remainder of the percentages would have to be with things are modernized now. My mom definitely comes from a different generation. I come from a different generation. So those are the things that might be different. But in terms of the core morals, principles, and values, I just don't think it would change. I do think, I do think I'm definitely gonna pass it down. The next one is, guys, this is like 24 minutes already. What do you wish you knew about marriage that indlela eni khule ngayo comes to play? The way that you grew up and the way that your partner or your spouse grew up will influence your household. And obviously, when we go through life, you don't see this as being a factor. You don't see how I grew up and what my traumas looked like. You don't see how that would influence your adulthood, especially when you are married and you have a spouse and you have somebody else to constantly consider. And it's different. awudingi imvumo kamuntu, awudingi ukucabanga muntu, into ofuna ukuyenza nje uyayenza, because it won't affect the other person as well. Dating and marriage are completely different things. Completely different things. For the first time in my life, I'm at a position where I will loudly admit this. I was one person who was totally against living together before marriage, right? Today, having been married for 6 months, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, almost 6 months. Having 6 months into my marriage, I totally understand why some people strongly feel like before marriage. I still don't think that would have worked. I still am not for it. I would never advise anyone to do it because but I understand why some people strongly feel like because marriage and dating is completely different. It's like a completely different ball game. It's like oh my god. There's not much that I wish I knew before marriage though. Yeah, it's probably just that, and the fact that marriage, you cannot be married if you are not a forgiving person. You can't make a marriage work if you're not a forgiving person, and that's just one of the things that I've constantly had to learn. I'm constantly learning even now, and I think I've had to learn it the hard way. So that's what I wish I knew about marriage. What is the one thing Asipe is truly proud of? I'm proud of how I'm able to get myself out of a dark place. I'm proud of the woman that I'm becoming. I'm proud of my failures. I feel like my failures have taught me so much. I'm proud of how I've constantly been able to come back better, come back stronger, come back wiser, come back softer. I'm learning to be soft. I'm learning to be soft. And I'm really proud of that. Because growing up, I just didn't think it was necessary to be soft. So yeah, me embracing my feminine energy is what I'm really proud of. Hey, would you relocate to another city? I was in the verge of relocating to another city this year. And through that process, that planning, I realized how much I love Durban. I am born and bred in Durban. I absolutely love Durban. I love Durban so much. And I would relocate, maybe not by choice, but if something being pork, like work, or then I'd relocate. But I wouldn't just, maybe I would. I don't know, maybe not now. Like right now, no. Okay, the next one is, where do you buy your wigs? I buy my wigs from AliExpress, different vendors though. I'm not picky about a vendor. I just see the hair that I like, I read reviews, and then I buy the hair. So I don't have one vendor. I think all my hair comes from different vendors. Oh, the most recent wig that I bought is from Shein. I did show you guys in a vlog. I don't know if that vlog has went up yet or this video is gonna go up, but obviously I haven't worn that hair yet, so I don't know how it's gonna treat me. But so far from the packaging and just from like putting my hand through the bundles, it's really nice. The next one is, would you relocate for work or for your husband? I would relocate for both. If I found work in another city, I'd definitely relocate. If my husband had to relocate and it also aligned with my work and what I'm doing currently, I would definitely relocate for both. I want to be under my man's skin all the time, so also my work is very important to me. Your stance on African spirituality, izinto zedlozi, can it coexist with Christianity? I definitely think it can. I will never see abantu basekhaya as demons. I come from somewhere. There were people before me. There were forefathers before me. There were people that have loved me, groomed me, taught me, nurtured me to be the woman that I am today. Those people have passed. There's no way my heart, my brain will ever forgive them, will ever forget them. There's no way I can now turn around and see them as evil or as non-existent. So therefore, I definitely believe in spirituality. Kakhulu ngikhule ekhaya kuhlatshwa, my marital home. When I say marital home, I talk about my husband's house and my house. We believe in ancestors. Can it coexist with Christianity? It definitely can. It definitely can. I do believe there's a God. I do believe there's God and my ancestors. So to their own. I know this topic is very controversial and everybody believes what they believe, but this is what I believe on my channel, and you are more than welcome to believe in what you believe in, and that is totally okay. I just don't think I can ever see my grandfather, typical example, someone that I've always talked about on this channel, as now a person that has never existed, or as idimoni, or as whatever. No, that man is a part of me and will always be a part of me, same like all my other forefathers and just so many other people that I've lost that I constantly think about. I don't think 2 days goes without me thinking about them, and you praying to God that, oh, wherever they are, I hope they're resting well. Thank you for the life that I shared with them. Thank you that I got to know such a love from a man. So there's still I'm getting emotional, there's still a very big part of my life, because of the impact that they had gave me. I always say, as Christians, or as me, let me speak for myself, asibakhonza abantu abangasekho but siyabakhumbula. Sikhonza uNkulunkulu kuphela but siyabakhumbula abantu abangasekho. They are in our hearts, we constantly remember them. So yeah, that's on that. So I do believe it can coexist. The next one is, do you believe in dreams, or do you ever look into them to further understand the message? Yes, I believe in dreams. I've not always looked further to understand them, but I do think our dreams are God's way of communicating to us. Our dreams are the ancestors' way of communicating to us. Most of the time when I've had a bad dream, I will just get up and pray about it. I'll go to the sea and I'll cleanse and I'll speak and I'll rebuke the dream. So I've never really done much to discover what the message was. For me, praying about it and just going to the sea and cleansing and rebuking has always worked so far. The next one is, why do you think as Black people it is common we experience issues with our dad's families? Guys, one thing about us as abantu abamnyama, we have daddy issues. There's a lot of daddy issues in our communities, because of fathers that were not present, because of jealousy within the families, because of competition within the families, and I don't know why this happens kakhulu with the dad's family more than the mother's family. Ngiphinde kodwa futhi ngithi, but this is my belief. Ngiphinde ngithi, uyabona obaba bethu basipha isibongo, but yabona kini, not ngokwesibongo, but kini ngokwedlozi eligadile more, ngokwe warmth will always be kama. I don't know why or how. Like, I'm not saying our dad's side of the family does not love us, but akufani ne warmth yakabo nina. Whether your parents are married or whether they are not married, it's not. I don't know what happens with the boy child, because I don't understand how my child. I have a brother, right? His name was Apelin. I fail to understand, Sizalo Mawewan, how my child as Asipe will feel more warmth. And I'm talking to you about a child that is not here yet. Apelele also doesn't have a child. My brother doesn't have a child. But I fail to understand how my child as Asipe will feel more warmth in my home Kantuli more than Apelele's child. Not that Apelele's child will not be loved. They will be loved. But there's just something about Tinganezalo and Domazane Ekaya Goma. And vice versa, Apelele's kid will feel more warmth in their mother's household. Not because the kaya I see time or definitely love the kid. I'm gonna adore my brother's kids, but ngokwemvelo ekhaya kaboma, there's no place edlula kabomalume. Like, I just think the dad's side is just there for like serious things. The dad's side is just there for like tradition and religion. Ukuthi phela mina ngiphuma lana kodwa ngewarmth nokukhuliswa. Yabo guys, kabo malume. Yabo guys, kabo malume. That's where you experience love. That is where you experience warmth and I don't know. Maybe let me say I don't know to this question. It's just that I can attest to what you're saying because I've seen it happen so many times to so many people. Go outside, ask anyone you see, are you closer to your dad's family or your mother's family? They'll tell you. Mind you, I have a good relationship with my dad's family side, right? It's fairly good. That I do think but I have a fairly good relationship. But I have a closer relationship with my mom's side. Baba is fairly good. Love them loads. But my mother's, oh my word, that is like, I don't know why it'd just be like that. Honestly, I don't know. Let me just say I don't know. Comment down below why you think there's always just something awful with the dad's side more than the mom's side. Do you think a person truly has one soulmate? I definitely think so. I definitely think we all have someone for us out there. So to answer your question, yes. Do you always find your soulmates the first try? No. I don't think if you thought you found one and it turns out that no, it's not this one, stop trying. No, there's definitely someone out there for everyone. But everybody has one soulmate. That's why I could never understand like polygamy relationships. Like I don't get it. I don't get it, but that's just me. The next thing is 3 things you would advise your son one day on treating his partner. Same question for a girl child. 3 things, bim. The first one would definitely be on how to advisor with life on treating their partner. I would say do unto others as you'd want done to you. Can't. Practical example, men seem to think it's better, man, or it's okay if men cheat because I've heard silly excuses like it's in a man's nature. A man can't be with one person. But when a woman does it, all of a sudden your ego is so bruised. All of a sudden now you can't forgive it. All of a sudden I'll tell you when you can do the same thing. Make it make sense. So the first advice for me, this is for both genders, girl child and boy child. Do unto others as you'd want done to you. You've gotten not even half, you've gotten 95% of the relationship correct. Everybody has temptations, everybody has options, right? But for as long as you would not want it to be done to you, retrench. Don't do it. Why do you want to deliberately hurt someone else? Why do you want to waste somebody else's time? The first one. The second one, on how to treat your partner, I would say you gotta learn how to love your partner the way they want to be loved. So this means that you need to be attentive when they speak. You need to be attentive in what they like. You need to be attentive to what they don't like. Because I always say there's no point in loving someone when they don't feel loved by you. You can tell me you love me every day, but if I don't feel loved by you, So you've got to be able to learn how you want to be loved as a person. That would have been my first advice, but because on how to treat their partner, you have to learn your partner's love languages and adapt to your partner's love languages, so that you are able to make them feel loved. And then the last one would be don't waste each other's time. Don't waste a person's time. Don't. And izinyembe zabantu aziweli phansi. So don't. If you're no longer there, move without wasting a person's time, and understand that the decisions that you make today, even within relationships, will be there for your whole life. You don't want to make permanent decisions, permanent choices over temporary feelings, over temporary people. So yeah, I think to both genders, that's what my advice would be. And the last question is, how did you deal with fake friends in high school? Your Sana, I'm going through it. Did I have fake friends in high school? I don't think I had fake friends in high school because everyone that I'm not friends with right now that I used to be friends with, kwaphela isizini ukuthi babangani, and that was it. It's not because I was fake or you were fake. You were just never meant to be a lifetime friend, you know? So when you are still in high school, you're obviously not going to see it the way that I am. But my advice to you would be, there are friends that you have now in high school. Uzobagcina high school, futhi uzobashiya high school. Abanye ngiphinde ngikhuluma, abanye kuphinde babone, abanye nje kuzoba sengathi sangaze nize nibe bangani. Because khona ubungane obakhaya ngokuthi ngikubona every day. You are constantly in my space, not because you're my friend. And when distance comes, then you start really seeing that, oh, okay, this was not really my friend. Ukuthi besihlezi sindawonye, besihlezi in the same space, occupying the same space, doing the same thing. So we shared a lot of time together. So the people that are your friends will not be fake to you. Don't try too hard. Don't try too hard. Just be a good person when. Be a good person to people. Be a good friend when. As long as you are a good friend, the right people in your life will stay. Like this in high school should not worry you. Don't worry about friends. Just worry about school. Just worry about getting good grades. Just worry about your dreams. Worry about your marks. Worry about sports. Worry about going out. Worry about dating your crushes. Worry about just worry about that. The friends that care about you will be in your life. The friends that don't care about you don't. As long as when you are a good person and your intentions are good. But yeah, if you really care about the friendship and you really love this person, try talking to them. Tell them how you feel. Tell them why you think the friendship is fake. If they're not willing to change, or if it doesn't change after the conversation, girl, get new friends. You're gonna be fine. I promise you, you will be okay, my love. I'm so sorry that you're going through this, but it's from your old sister to you. When grand. Thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely really appreciate the engagements that you guys showed on Instagram. If you enjoyed this video, give it a massive thick thumbs up. I'd love to hear your views on the questions that I was asked, but for now, you definitely are a star. I'll see you on my next one. Bye.